Okay, we are live.
Not the pressing issue with signs. Firefighters had a 4x8 billboard down
I
there.
have no interest in it.
Okay, the meeting is live now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the time is 7:01. I would like to call to order the November 10th City of North Ridgeville Planning Commission meeting. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Members of the Planning Commission, Ali is on his way. Jacobs,
Here.
Swallow,
Here.
Abens,
Here.
Smolik.
Here.
Members of the administration, Mayor Corcoran,
Here.
Safety Service Director Armbruster,
Here.
Assistant Law Director Morgan,
Here.
Chief Building Official Fursden,
Here.
City Engineer Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay, as all the Planning Commission members had a chance to look at the August 11th minutes from our previous Planning Commission meeting. Is there any corrections at this time? Hearing no corrections, the minute shall stand as received and filed. Madam Secretary, is there any correspondence?
No, there is no correspondence.
Okay, there is no old business. There is no new business. Madam Secretary, please call the first application.
Applicant James Martinowski, Osborne Capital Group, 7670 Tyler Boulevard, Mentor, Ohio 44060. Owner, Cook Road Properties, 7670 Tyler Boulevard, Mentor, Ohio 44060. Request, site plan approval to construct a 2,225 square foot, single-use commercial building. Location, 32435 Cook Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio 44039, in a B3 commercial district. Permanent parcel number is 0700003102, 048, and 049. Comments from Chief Building Official Fursden. Provide copy of cross-access easement to City of North Ridgeville. Check with Ohio Edison to see what is allowed in their easement, such as parking or trash enclosure. All else appears zoning code compliant. Comments from Police Chief Freeman. At Duncan, we are experiencing a traffic issue on Lorraine Road when the drive-up window gets busy. 4 to 5 cars will stack up eastbound on Lorraine Road because the length of the drive-up lane is not long enough to handle business when at peak volume. Comments from Fire Chief Reese. Please contact Assistant Chief Mike Unick to discuss the following code requirements of the Ohio Fire Code and Chapter 16 Fire Prevention of the Codified Ordinance of North Ridgeville. North Ridgeville Fire Department Fire Prevention, 440-653-6362. Number 1, OFC Rule 5, Fire Service Features. Section 503, Fire Access Roads. Section 506, Key Boxes. Section 507, Fire Protection Water Supply. Number 2, OFC Rule 33, Fire Safety during Construction and Demolition. Number 3, NFPA 241, Standard for Safeguarding Construction, Alteration and Demolition Operations. Number 4, NFPA 25, Standard for the Inspection, Testing, and Maintenance of Water-Based Fire Protection Systems. And number 5, Chapter 16, Fire Prevention NR Ordinance. Comments from Safety Service Director Armbruster. After reviewing the site plan location and traffic study, I firmly support the approval to construct a 2,225 square foot commercial building at 32435 Cook Road for the purpose of opening a Starbucks in the city of North Ridgeville. Comments from Mayor Corcoran. As one of the most frequently requested businesses, I'm happy to have Starbucks interested in our city. The BZA approved the variances that they needed to be located at their parcel. While there may be some concerns about traffic, there is room to stack many cars on the property before reaching Cook Road. A traffic study is being conducted and they will have to follow those recommendations from the study. I look forward to welcoming Starbucks to our community. Comments from City Engineer Rodriguez. Number 1, a traffic impact study is required per City of North Ridgeville Codified Ordinance Section 1210.06 for new commercial developments unless the peak hour trips to the development are less than or equal to 150. Calculations need to be provided by a licensed professional traffic engineer. Number 2, complete detailed improvement plans and stormwater management calculations need to be provided to the engineering department for review. Number 3, contact must be made with James Brewer, Chief Resident Project Representative, to discuss water backflow requirements. And number 4, a tree planting plan is required per City of North Ridgeville Codified Ordinance, Section 1032.09 for commercial development seeking to build or expand. End of comments.
Okay, just a public notice. Due to current restrictions associated with the ongoing coronavirus, physical attendance at these public meetings can't happen. So we have invited the public 2 ways to interact with this meeting. We are streaming this meeting on a YouTube channel. If any resident is on that, please enter a chat if you have a question or comment. We will get to those later in the meeting. And also we invited people via Zoom also to issue a question or comment at the appropriate time. What will happen is the applicants will come up and explain their projects. The commission members will have questions or comments. Administration will have questions or comments. And then we will open it up to the general public. Zoom first, then YouTube second. I assume there is a representative for the first applicant. Would you mind telling us your name and address and a little bit about your project?
Yes, my name, first, can you hear me? My mic's on, correct?
You are good to go. Thank you.
Okay. And again, name James Bartnowski. I'm with Osborne Capital Group, address 7670 Tyler Boulevard in Mentor, Ohio. We've submitted the plan for the Starbucks that's in front of you on a parcel that we control off of Cook Road. It's basically behind the old Marathon. We've gone through, as noted, through BZA on a couple variances. And basically I can answer any questions. It's self-explanatory. We do have stacking probably out to Cook Road, and I can show you a drawing on the video if you want me to. We're about 25 cars all the way out to Cook Road. I know everybody's concerned about Duncan. They have far less. I think they're about 15 cars from their window all the way out to Lorraine Road. So we have plenty more than they do. And one probably comment to that is, as they have a few cars out in Lorraine Road, my guess is when Starbucks opens, you'll have a few people that will come over here. So it may actually help that case over there to lighten that load, and they would come over here. So any other questions I can answer about the site plan? It's pretty much, like I say, self-explanatory. We have the drive one way going around the building, kind of to promote that you're either going around the building or you're getting into the drive-through lane, and then the exit on the south side and back out to Cook Road. So met with the electric company. There's actually a power line going across our property now with no easement. And so I've met on site with the electric company. We're figuring out how to reroute the electrical to service that and to service our property, of course, as well. And then that would be it. I understand if to do the stormwater retention plan that we will, work with the city engineer on that, what's required. And that's pretty much it. I can answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to open up question or comments to the commission members. Does any commission members have any questions or comments?
Mr. Smolik.
Go ahead.
My question would just be to the stacking spaces. He did indicate that there are additional stacking spaces available on this site. We're all aware of the issues with Dunkin' Donuts. My question is, if later down the road they find that the stacking spaces aren't sufficient, are they willing to take additional steps to manage auto travel on the site rather than have it impede on Cook Road?
You
Would
want me
the applicant chime in on that?
Sure. like I say, we have, there's 10 spaces shown on the plan. There's another 15 that would take it out through the project out onto Cook Road. So as far as more than 25 spaces, and I'm not sure what else you could really do for traffic beyond that. Like I say, at this point, we're 10 more than Duncan is on theirs. So I'm not sure what else we could do to answer that question, really.
Thank you.
They
I
do.
appreciate that.
I do want to also stipulate, Starbucks as being, one of the leaders on, coffee in the country, is they have several stalls you can see for their mobile order pickup. So they have quite a push for if you don't want to get in the line, you just pull up, you've already ordered, you can park, run in and get your coffee, get out. I think they've exceeded, how Dunkin' handles it. No offense to them, but I think they've refined it quite a bit between that and then order ahead so that you're, if you are in the drive-through, you would just pick up your order already, done. So I think it's going to expedite, the traffic throughout here.
Thanks. Do they have an option for curbside delivery where you can order, pull in and have somebody bring your order out to you rather than sit in the drive-through lane?
I don't know that for sure. I don't know, to be honest. I know they have the mobile pickup, but I don't know if they'll have somebody that'll bring it out. Good question. I'll have to find out.
Just a question. It helps
Sure.
with traffic flow
Yeah.
sometimes, and a lot of places are doing that with COVID.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have that answer.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments from the commission members?
It looks, according to the traffic study, that the peak hour is between 7:15 a.m. and 8:15 a.m. And if I'm reading the traffic study correctly, it looks like they're expecting approximately 100 cars during that hour. Is my understanding correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And they could fit 25 of those. And that's 100 over the course of the hour. And at any given point, 25 of those can be on the property.
Correct. Plus parked. I mean, 25 could be in line plus
Sure.
what you could park. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions. I was a little hung up on the easement and I reached out to you, so I just wanted you to explain that to all the rest of the commission members, so there's no issues with that, the egress and ingress easement.
Yeah, if you look on the plan, there's a triangle on that behind the marathon station. I believe that's when you were requesting. That was the number.
Correct.
That was the volume stuff. Apparently some years ago, when this property was owned by somebody else, I forget what the year it is. It's been several decades. Whoever owned this, I guess the gas station, whoever owned that, I think it was Sunoco back then, but approached this owner of the property. They deeded over that triangle. If you look at this property, there's actually a triangle cut out of it. It's not a perfect rectangle. And that's that hatched area on the side. So that is actually not our property. It's an access easement. When whoever owned this sold it to the gas station, they retained an ingress and egress accent, basically to use that property to cross over it. And that's basically what we're doing. As you can tell, we're really just the little triangle, that corner is what we're using right now. And if you look at the aerial, it's basically all shrubs. It's not like they've paved or using that back corner. It's all overgrown trees and shrubs back there now. Again, I think maybe they acquired it. I don't know if that gas station was built in the wrong spot and they realized it and they needed setback, or maybe they'd expanded it, or somehow they came to this property owner and said, hey, we need this triangle for something to meet requirements. So they got that piece and again, reserved the ingress and egress easement over it. So it's our benefit, the ingress and egress easement. Hopefully that's.
No, that's exactly what I needed to know when I reached out to you. My other question is, are you familiar with the Starbucks at North Olmsted Porter Road and Westlake Detroit Road? Are these similar properties to this one as far as configuration for stacking and that kind of question?
I think the size of this building is like the North Olmsted one. And I haven't really looked at that as close as far as what they have for stacking there, how that layout is. I'm guessing off of Lorraine Road, it probably is, because you come off of Lorraine Road and you go around the building. I'm guessing we have a little bit more here because there your entrance is in line with the beginning of the drive-through where ours weaves around the front of the building and back over to Cook Road, further south a little bit. So my guess is we have more stacking than the North Olmsted store. The Westlake one, I think you mentioned,
Yes, Detroit
off of
Road.
Detroit. From what I understand, that's a smaller store. Not that the square footage is, but from what I understand, that was, they had some parameters to stick with. So I think the store is smaller. I honestly haven't looked at that as far as stacking. I think that comes off that inner road to that shopping center. I don't know if Starbucks
Promenade,
actually.
correct.
Yeah, I think theirs goes out into the promenade. Be honest, I haven't really looked at that as far as what they have there and if it stacks out into the promenade ring road or not.
Now, the traffic study just involved your parcel. It didn't take into account if parcel B was ever developed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And at this point, because we don't really know what the service was, we understand that whatever comes up of that, if it pushes, the traffic over, we'd have to come back in, with revise the traffic study. But at this point, we don't have anything lined up for that piece.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the administration?
I'd like to ask a question. Was there any consideration for like a second type drive-through or staging? Kind of like how Chick-fil-A does it? Good examples like North Olmsted. They were doing roughly about 100 cars an hour also. They went to 2 drive-throughs and somebody staging, and they can do upwards of almost 300 cars per hour. So just see if there's any consideration, for a second drive-through or somebody,
And my dealings with Starbucks, I've not heard that they have any plans to do double drive-throughs like, McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and some of the other. Again, they're more, I think, because of fast food and it may take longer for preparation, where here it's a coffee and maybe a Danish or something, so it's quicker. But again, to answer that, I have not heard they haven't even mentioned to us that they are looking at that down the road to do that with their restaurant, their coffee places.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the administration?
Yeah, I'll just mention that Jennifer, you asked a question about curbside pickup, so I looked it up on their website. Currently, they have curbside pickup at 800 stores with plans to roll it out to 2,000 by the end of the year. And I would imagine, since this one's being built from the ground up and won't be open until sometime next year, that they'll plan that for this store ahead of time. But other than that, I think, we've already touched on all the issues of the additional space to stack cars at this location, the fact that the traffic study supports the business coming in at that location, and overall, from the administration standpoint, we're happy to have them into town.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, I'm going to open up the public comment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through my YouTube screen, and if anybody has a question or comment, unmute yourself and identify yourself so that way you could have a question or comment.
Mr. Chairman, is that for YouTube or Zoom?
I'm sorry, for Zoom. I'm stand corrected for Zoom. I'm going through Zoom right now and I'm seeing if anybody has a question or comment. So if you want to unmute.
Mr. Chairman, we did receive some emails at the end of the day today. Would you like to read those into the record first, or would you like to do that after?
We could read those now. Go ahead.
Okay, I received 2 emails from residents this afternoon, and it looks like we also have YouTube comments from the same resident.
Okay.
So the first resident's email reads, "We are hoping to be able to log on to the Zoom call tonight. The residents on Cook Road have concerns with the Starbucks. Cook Road is already an issue with the College, Panera, and Dunkin' Donuts. The proposed site with the drive on Cook Road will create too much traffic, and with the entrance and exit, this will be an increased accident zone. The area of the street is not able to withstand the amount of traffic that was conducted in the survey. There should be an entrance and exit on Lorraine and not on Cook Road. Everyone cuts through the college and Panera lot and exit out on Cook Road currently. Traffic is getting backed up daily already onto Cook due to the traffic coming from Lear and Dunkin' Donuts, where you have to wait multiple signals just to send 4 or 5 cars through. There is also a 45-minute gap that is not accounted for on the survey from 2 o'clock to 2:45 on page 3. Hard to believe no cars were present. This will only increase the numbers of cars traveling in that area. Furthermore, why are we receiving data from countingcars.com from Minnesota and Kansas from 2009 to 2012? There should be current data at least from the last few years and not a document from February 2012. The numbers are not accurate, and Cook Road Properties Osborne Capital Group should be required to provide current data. North Ridgeville is already congested with cars where you can barely travel down Lear on Center Ridge without major delays that have not been taken care of. Projects that should take months to 1 year are not resolved in multiple years. No one can imagine why we would be creating another one. Cook Road, along with the intersection at Lorraine, cannot absorb another few hundred cars in a few hours in the mornings and evenings. Thank you, Wayne and Jill Zuck. And that resident also has a YouTube comment, if you want me to read that at this time.
I think I want to respond to some of these comments first, and then we'll get to our YouTube. As far as, does the applicant want to chime in on some of these?
I'm looking at the traffic study now where they related to stuff. I'm not a traffic engineer, so as far as where they pulled their information, I don't know. I know they look to whatever the current information they can find for such studies, but so I really can't comment on any of those questions they had on some of it and the missing piece. But I know between 2 and whatever time that was is not, of course, a peak hour. They look at the higher peak hour, so which was in the morning. So
I could chime in on some stuff as well because I look at traffic counts every day, and you're 100% correct. When they do traffic counts, it's not all from 8 in the morning all the way 8 at night. There's some gaps in that. As far as the traffic count, I believe the traffic counts were done this year on October 6th. That's within the report. And personally, for me, I just looked at the professional engineering report by TMS engineers. I know the other stuff was just basically just there as for guidance, but the actual stamped study is what I reviewed. Okay, I guess, yeah, could we have that YouTube chat now question?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, the YouTube user is Jill Zuck, and the comments read, 10 spaces is not nearly enough. Dunkin' has more than 10 spaces and the lines are stacked up and the parking is an issue. 100 cars per hour cannot be absorbed by Cook Road. I go through the intersection daily and have sent pictures to the city in prior emails of the backup.
Okay, I believe within the report, the stacking for this proposal was 25 cars. So I'm not sure where the 10 cars is coming from. And I think the applicant referred to Dunkin' Donuts as 15. Was that correct? Was that what
yes,
you?
what I looked at, Dunkin' has about 15 from Lorraine Road to their pickup window. They may be saying the 10 is what's shown on our drawing is 10, but when you could stack another 15 going in front of the side of the building, in front of the building out to Cook Road. So we have a total of 25 on ours. If you apples to apples, basically.
Okay, and I think there was also a question in regards to the entrance being on Cook or on Lorraine. And I believe in the traffic study, they actually preferred it on Cook. Is that correct?
I don't know. I didn't see that. Notice that they recommended that they just knew that's where our access is. We do not have access off Lorraine Road.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Now, if there's anybody else who is on Zoom at this time, unmute your microphone and I'm going to try and find you. I know there's a bunch of people on here that I don't recognize, so I assume you are residents. Now's the time if you have a question or comment.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we had one more piece of correspondence that came in at the end of the day. Do you want us to go ahead and read that before we go to Zoom?
We can. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the commission. I'm commenting today on the application before you with respect to the site plan to construct a 2,225 square foot single-use commercial building, 32435 Cook Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio 44039. This building will house a Starbucks coffee operation. I am concerned about the peak hour traffic this proposed business will generate, more specifically the traffic flow on Cook Road and the intersection of Cook and Lorraine Roads. While the project representatives correctly state they have the ability to stack 20 or more vehicles on their premise, I believe a problem occurs with the ingress-egress aspect of the property. The entrance is situated on Cook Road, south of the Lorraine-Cook intersection. Cars exiting the property and heading northwest on Cook Road will encounter a slight bend to the east in the road and a limited stacking area on Cook Road, south of the Lorraine intersection. Predictable motorist behavior will include vehicles attempting to exit the property and blocking traffic, possibly in both directions on Cook Road. In addition, during the administrative process of this application, the Chief of Police identified a problem on eastbound Lorraine Road. The problem is the vehicles which are stacking on eastbound Lorraine awaiting entrance into the Dunkin' Donuts location. The City of North Ridgeville needs to address this problem. One possible solution is to reconfigure traffic flow to allow for an exit entrance to Dunkin' Donuts from Cook Road. On March 10th, 2020, the Planning Commission approved a site plan for Primrose Schools to build a facility adjacent to the LCCC building, with its access point located on Cook Road in very close proximity to the Starbucks location. This school is designed to hold a maximum enrollment of 220 children and will be open from 6:30 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. All of these factors point the need for thoughtful planning as to how all of the existing businesses operate in this corridor and how traffic can quickly and safely navigate the corridor to the I-480 entrance exit ramps. I respectfully ask the commission to take these points into consideration prior to their vote. Thank you for your time. Mr. Frank Toth, 35300 Nicky Avenue, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039.
Thank you for submitting that. That was very helpful. Does the administration have a question or I should say a comment in regard to Dunkin' Donuts? Because it has nothing to do with this project, or do you want to reach out privately to discuss that with the resident?
Well, we've talked a lot about Dunkin' Donuts both here and internally, but the bottom line is right now, you know, there's a backup obviously that's causing some concerns about safety. Our police chief, who's here this evening, went and visited with them and had a discussion with them about the backups. Right now, there's nothing that says that we can't cite them to court or to give them any kind of fine or anything because there's nothing illegal about the traffic backing up onto the road. But he did have a conversation with them about what they might be able to do to try and alleviate the backups. And they did respond and say that they are trying their best right now. Due to COVID, there seems to be a lot more people that are staying in the drive-through lane as opposed to going into the store. As you noted already, Dunkin' doesn't seem to have the same kind of app presence that Starbucks does with online ordering or curbside pickup or any of those kinds of things. So all of that contributes to the backup. And I understand that it is a concern. I understand that, you know, there's a lot of businesses in town that have that kind of situation occur at different times of the day. One that I'm heading to in a few minutes after this meeting's over. Dairy Queen, Dairy Grove, the drive-in movie theater, you go to, you know, I've seen comments about Dunkin' Donuts backing up or Starbucks backing up all over the United States. There's also the Avon Commons that tends to back up a tremendous amount. There's just, it happens. And while it's not a perfect world, you know, these situations exist. And I'm not sure that all we can do is try to work with them. Like Steve mentioned earlier about, you know, Chick-fil-A, there are some opportunities for people to do some things different, you know, and we'll try to work with people to achieve that. But the idea of coming out onto Cook, unfortunately, Dunkin' doesn't own any property that would allow them to come through Cook. They'd have to purchase property from the property owner in order to break through there. I know in the beginning when Panera was being put in, there was some discussions with that property owner to try and allow them to go out that way, but those negotiations didn't work out. So unfortunately for Dunkin' right now, they are kind of landlocked where they're at, unless they want to spend an exorbitant amount of money. And I believe that was the reason why they didn't make any changes to their exits except onto Lorraine Road. So we'll continue to try to work with Dunkin' to try and get them to do something different. And, you know, just like if in the future Starbucks winds up being a problem, we'll do the same thing. There's other things when we were talking to the city engineer about some of the ways to alleviate traffic, we could always put up no left turn lanes, either entrance ways or exits, and some other things that we could force traffic to go in different directions. But, you know, we're looking at Dunkin' Donuts and trying to do something different over there. I don't want to spend too much time, and that's probably enough there because this conversation is about Starbucks.
That is correct, but yes, you're 100% right. But thank you for that insight. Does the applicant have any further comments in regards to that correspondence?
Nothing I can really add at this point.
Okay. All right. Once again, I'm going to hopefully if there's anybody in the meeting on Zoom who has a question or comment, now's your time. Okay, I don't see anybody. So at this point, I'm looking for questions or comments via YouTube. There's about a 20-second delay. So I'm going to wait 20 seconds to see if any questions or comments come in.
Mr. Chairman, it looks like we have 2 new comments and questions from resident Jill Zuck.
Okay. Let's wait to see if we have any from any other resident first. Okay, hearing no other questions or comments, we will hear the chat from Jill Zuck.
Okay, it reads, how do you propose to allow over 100 cars per hour in that short distance on Cook? Why is the city continuing to add to the traffic problem the city just admitted that they have at that intersection?
I'm gonna first have the applicant talk, and then I'm gonna have the city engineer chime in as well.
As far as on our side, you know, of course, again, we've done the traffic study. We're not on Lorraine Road. I think that one problem they have is those couple cars that get stuck on Lorraine waiting to get into Dunkin'. And as I said before, if anything, we may help that because, you know, some of these customers, I'm not going to, as you know, when you put up a new building, it pulls draw from a little bit from neighboring establishments. So I'm actually honest that, you know, a few cars would come over here and alleviate that standing on Lorraine Road, which will then allow Cook Road to move more freely. So as far as, you know, that goes, but then I rely back to our traffic study as far as our site and our traffic goes.
Thank you. Does the city engineer have any comments in regards to that correspondence?
Yeah, I don't believe that the mayor said anything about us having a traffic problem at this intersection. The mayor was simply speaking about Dunkin' Donuts and the issues that Dunkin' Donuts has. In regards to this specific location, their traffic study and their traffic engineer is certified to the city that there's not an issue with their location and their proximity to this intersection. So we typically accept that as he is certifying to the city that there will be no issues. Now, obviously, if that is not the case, and we find that there are issues, Mr. Other type of treatment to alleviate any issues that come up. And again, the mayor stated that we would try to look at that at that point in time. But at this point in time, it's not there. So we don't know of these issues. We can't base our decisions off driver behaviors because that's not how we have to take the information in front of us, and the information in front of
Okay,
us is this
Dan, you're
traffic study. And all the information provided within is, I'm sorry, all this information within the traffic study is legitimate information. So
Okay, it looks like we lost the city engineer, but I think we got his point across. Madam Secretary, is there any other?
that's how, the information that we're provided. So
Okay, is there any other correspondence via YouTube?
Mr. Chairman, we have one new comment from Jill Zuck.
Okay, we'll hear it now.
Okay, it reads, what about the backup from turning onto Cook and blocking traffic onto Cook from Starbucks?
Could you repeat that question?
What about the backup from turning onto Cook and blocking traffic onto Cook from Starbucks?
Does the applicant want to chime in on that?
Well, I can't say, I think even the city engineer, you can't comment on how people drive. Obviously, I don't think people are gonna pull out in the middle of the road and block the road if they can't get out there. Again, I rely back to our traffic study that doesn't show there's an issue, but that's all I can look at, really.
That is correct. Within the traffic study, they actually analyzed if that would be blocked, and they determined it would not be. Also, they determined that the stop sign at the exit of Starbucks would be sufficient. So, okay, at this time, I am going to close public comment. Is there
Mr.
any?
Smollett,
go
can I ask another, actually, I have two questions.
Yes.
The first for the owner, do you have any information about the average service time, just to kind of give this amount of traffic some perspective? I know with other developments in other cities, sometimes they can provide the amount of time it takes them to serve a customer on average, which kind of, I think, might help describe the traffic flow. You were talking about how quickly Starbucks is compared to other establishments, because it's often just a cup of coffee or a cup of coffee and a Danish.
Yeah, I don't really have a good answer on that. Looking at the traffic study, they basically show the traffic in and the traffic out. But I haven't really looked at that to see what it could be, if it's, an average of 3 minutes of a car coming in and leaving, or 5 minutes, or whatever the case may be. So I can't answer that directly. Again, I'm guessing most of the traffic here is in and out, but there are some that stay and go inside and sit or whatever, or even sit in their car and wait or something. So it's kind of hard to give that answer. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is either for the city engineer or maybe the police chief. Is there an opportunity here to put some signage up where the ingress and egress drive will be off of Cook Road, so that drive does not get blocked when there is traffic backed up from that light, to help individuals turn left out of that parking lot to go south on Cook?
I'll chime in, the safety service director. Certainly we can put the sign up, but whether people are going to follow them, but we will definitely have some signs, do not block driveways, and that we do that all over the city for businesses. If necessary, correct. Right.
Here's my concern. This is Mike Grimm from the chief of police. To exit out on the Lorraine Road where speeds are much higher, where Cook Road, you're entering closer to an intersection where you have 4 lanes of travel on Lorraine Road, close to the intersection of Learnagle and Lorraine. That is going to be a high crash area with serious type crashes because of the speeds on Lorraine Road in the 4 lanes of traffic. You would have people crossing over 4 lanes of traffic to go west, or encroaching on 2 lanes going east. But we find much higher speeds on Lorraine Road than we do find on Cook. Cook is a much safer exit entrance than Lorraine Road would be, due to the fact the close proximity you would be to the Lorraine Road intersection. Because you have cars turning left, you have cars turning right, 4 lanes of traffic, you have McDonald's on the other side. So there's a lot of interference on Lorraine Road compared to Cook. And I know this is not about Dunkin' Donuts, but when I talked to their management, from the time somebody got to the order window or the ordering booth to the time they got to the window, they said it's only about 45 seconds of time. So they're moving people through at a pretty quick rate there. And I'm sure that that company would do the same or have similar time intervals.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further questions or comments from the administration? Oh, I'm sorry, from the commission? And I just want to make sure we didn't miss any public comment. Madam Secretary, there's no more chat responses, is there?
Mr. Chairman, just right before you had closed the public comments, there was just one more comment from Jill Zuck that looked like she was correcting her last statement. It reads turning from Lorraine onto Cook. She had asked about the backup from turning onto Cook and blocking traffic onto Cook from Starbucks. She meant turning from Lorraine onto Cook.
Does the applicant want to chime in on that?
I'm not sure what she meant. I mean, you have the signals. If you're eastbound on Lorraine, it's a right in, onto Cook Road. And if you're westbound on Lorraine Road, you have the turn signal there that's going to control you. So I don't see where there'd be any issue from off of Lorraine Road onto Cook Road.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I am going to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's development project.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Madam Secretary, call roll.
Ali,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Smolik.
Yes.
Motion carries with a vote of 5-0.
Okay, the applicant will get your paperwork forwarded to you after we do some remote signatures, but you're all set. Thank you for presenting today in front of the commission. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you for your time. Thank you very much.
No problem. Madam Secretary, please read the second application.
Applicant K. Hovanian, Meadow Lakes LLC, 3296 Columbia Road, Richfield, Ohio, 44286. Owner, same. Request final plat approval of Phase 18 of the Meadow Lakes subdivision. Location, White Feather Avenue North, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039 in a PCD district. Permanent parcel number 0700033122-003. Comments from Chief Building Official Fursden. Number 1, Meadow Lake subdivision number 18 has 47 cluster lots on 15.0391 acres with a density of 3.1215. 47 lots divided by 15.0391 acres equals 3.125 density. Density compliance is determined at the final phase of Meadow Lake subdivision. Number 2, Meadow Lake subdivision number 18 has 30% open space. 4.6509 open space acres divided by 15.0391 total acres equals 0.30. Open space compliance will be determined at final phase of Meadow Lake subdivision. Number 3, sublot 1617 and 1634, second front yard setback shall be minimum 20 feet. Number 4, all else appears code compliant. Comments from City Engineer Rodriguez. Number 1, since the streets are public streets, ordinance 3862-2002 applies. The city is required to install all traffic control devices in new subdivisions and charge the developer for same. Number 2, street lighting is required per CNRO section 1226.15. Number 3, detailed improvement plans and stormwater management calculations have been approved by the engineering department. End of comments.
Okay, is there a representative for the application in here for us tonight?
Yes, Jeff Schaefer with K. Hovnanian,
Okay, state your address again, sorry.
3296 Richfield Road, or Columbia Road, Richfield, Ohio.
Okay, do you want to describe your project for us, please?
This is the next to the last phase of Meadow Lakes. This is subdivision number 18. Dale, you want to chime in on number of units and such? We have Dale Haywood here with Atwell Engineering assisting.
Okay, Mr. Haywood, please state your name and address for the record.
Dale Haywood, I'm with Atwell Engineering, 7100 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence.
Thank you.
Mr. Fursden's summary of the platting was spot on. We're proposing to plat 47 lots with this phase. We're also performing the final analysis through what will become the remaining platted portion of the development, subdivision number 19, and for the purpose of determining the remaining open space and density calculations. So we're compliant with the PCD for Meadow Lakes.
Okay. I guess I have one quick question. The plat is referring to Meadow Lakes 18, and then there's an 18A. What exactly is presenting us tonight? Because is it that full 18 and 18A, or are we only talking that smaller section? Because the improvement plans have that whole entire section fully developed.
We prepared the improvement plans for all of the remaining lots. And the portion that's being platted would only be the remaining, the remaining portion of Amber Way, Fledgling Court, and a portion of Independence Boulevard. Does that answer your question?
It does. So you're saying that section that's referred to as 18A, which is the rest of Independence, is that going to be the completion of the neighborhood, or is there another phase somewhere else?
That would be the remaining portion, and that would finish it off. That nomenclature is remainder 18A. That will eventually become subdivision number 19.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Is there any other questions or comments from the commission members? Okay. I do have one item, and it's sort of been bothering me for probably the last 4 or 5 phases. Within the actual ordinance for the purpose intent, within this subdivision, you're supposed to have providing varying housing types. It seems like the last 4 or 5 phases are the same small cluster home. Nothing has really changed. And it looks like that's going to be in the next phase, which we're referring to as 18A or 19. And I just don't think that follows the intent of what the original ordinance suggested. Would the applicant please chime in on that?
Yes, we actually did switch up products in phase 16, and we started the tail end of phase 15. And in phase 16, we launched what's called our Aspire product, which is, it's really a revamp of and remodeling of some of our previous existing home types. So there are some varying home types within that, and that will carry on through, they have started carrying on through phase 17 and will continue on through 18 and 19. So we did actually launch a newer product in there, something that hadn't been done in Meadow Lakes before.
So with that new product, is that a different price point than some of the others?
It is.
Okay.
It's so there's many back-to-back lots. Take phase 17, for instance, the area between Golden Eagle and Sandy Ridge, where you have those back-to-back lots that's where we have our Aspire product, which is meant to give you, I guess, a smaller house with the same elevation profile that fits on those lots better in more of a back-to-back atmosphere. And they do have a better price point. And quite frankly, those are the ones that we can't physically keep up with.
Now, what about, it seems like the larger estate or single family product that hasn't been around for probably what, the last 10 phases?
And that actually has to do a lot with lot sizes. You'll notice on the cul-de-sac lots or some of the lots that are in radius points on the roadways are a little bit larger. That's where we can fit our larger lots. Phase 17 in Yellow Beak, I believe the cul-de-sac has some larger lots, and then the north side of that street as well has some larger product going on there. They don't vary much, I'll say that.
Right, and I guess that's where I'm hung up, because it seems like it's all the small cluster. The parcel itself is on the smaller side.
Mhm.
And when I'm just looking at, what was the actual purpose intent, I sort of think we sort of, moved away from that over the last few phases. And based on what I'm seeing now, it looks like that's how it's going to be finished, is with this same size lot all the way through. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem like there was any creativity or anything as far as open space. Your open space is basically your wetlands, drainage channels, and retention. It's not like it's a benefit recreational area. I have a hard time with what's happening towards these last few phases. I'll just be honest with you. And I know I voiced my opinion previously on it.
We'll be meeting all of our open space requirements. I mean, as far as any recreational space, I can't speak 100% to that, but I know in phases 15 through the end of this development, there's not any actual recreation spaces planned with walking trails. That's reserved to Meadow Lakes Boulevard and the main drag throughout the development.
Yeah, it's just, I'm having a hard time with just I know you're meeting the density requirements. It just seems like it's all being on all these small lots, but is there any other questions or comments from the commission members? Is there any questions or comments from the administration?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
in chapter 1279, there is no requirement for percentage of cluster or single-family lots. The preliminary plan for Meadow Lakes was presented to the Planning Commission many years ago with these lots all south of Barris Road and was approved. And we've seen numerous styles from different builders. I believe Amber Way to the Way West was more geared to, it wasn't specifically designed for, but it was geared more to seniors. So we have seen a little bit of diversity throughout the years in this subdivision.
I agree there's been various different type of products, but when I'm reading 1279.01, purpose and intent, provide varying housing types which address the functional and social needs of the residents. I haven't seen it lately.
The senior product, there appears that they tried to do that.
Okay. Is there any further questions or comments from the administration? Okay, we're going to try going through Zoom. If there's any residents on Zoom who have a question or comment in regards to this. Okay, I see no one on Zoom. At this point, I am looking for questions or comments via YouTube Live. Once again, we have about a 20 to 30 second delay, so we're going to wait here a second. Madam Secretary, do we have any questions or comments via YouTube Live?
Mr. Chairman, there are no questions or comments.
Okay. Is there any further questions or comments from the commission members? Okay, I do have one quick question. As far as, I know you guys said you're running the calcs as far as max density and open space for the total build out of Meadow Lakes. You don't have that right now, do you?
No, that's not finished yet.
Okay, but I mean, you don't foresee a problem, or you think we're pretty much on track to meet that?
No problems.
Okay, thank you.
We've kept a running tally throughout the years with each phase we add on to it. So it's been kind of a running total throughout the life of Meadow Lakes since K-Hope has taken over.
Okay, yeah, I know you guys previously sometimes would give us a tally and update, so, okay. All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the application.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, call roll.
Ali,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Swallow,
Sorry about that. Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Smolik,
Yes.
motion carries with a vote of 5-0.
Okay, you're all set. We'll get those applications signed to you later this week. And I don't think there's any new business. So the Planning Commission meeting for November 11th is concluded. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Night.
Everyone have a good evening.